Okay, today let us discuss about data control language, which is collection of two commands, grant and revoke. Okay.
Yeah.
Generally, the grant and revoke commands are executed by the database administrators to give some privileges to the users. Okay, we should understand the term called privilege. Privileges are permissions given given to a user. Generally, it's the DBA who will be giving the permissions to the users. So which command is used to give the permissions? You can easily guess. The grant command is used to grant the privileges to the user, and you can easily guess revoke command is used to get back the privileges which are granted. Okay, grant is used for giving the privileges, revoke is used for get back the privileges which are granted. Okay, now to practically work out with this grant and revoke, Jamal, you have any idea on how to use this grant and revoke commands?
No.
Okay. Okay. So to practically show with the grant and revoke, generally, as a developer, you will never get an opportunity. So Dilavar, you will never get an opportunity to work out with grant and revoke because we are from a developer perspective. We are learning from the developer perspective. Is it okay? In case if you get an opportunity to work as a DBA, then you will be coming across the usage of this grant and revoke commands. Okay, I'll practically show how to use this grant and revoke command, and by creating a new user. We are connecting to the database using Scott Tiger. Okay, so we know how to connect the database, and what is the username we are using? We are using Scott. The password is Tiger. I want to create a new user. Jamal is the new user. Maclean is the password which I want to create. Who will create new users? Practically, it is a DBA's responsibility to create a new user. So we have a command called create user command. We have a command create user command using which we create new users. Okay, so who will create new users? It's a DBA who will create a new user. So I want to create a new user. So I connect as a DBA. I want to connect as a DBA. So I'm opening the SQL prompt, connect as / as SYS DBA. I am connected to a database as a DBA user. How to connect as a DBA? By using / as this is DBA. Create user Jamal identified by Tiger is the command which is used for creating the user. Look at the response user created. Clear, Jamal? How to create a user? The username is Jamal. The password is okay. I'm sorry, I have used as Tiger. Fine. So I have created a user. The username is Jamal, identified by the password I want to give for this user is Tiger. So a user is created. Now I parallelly open one more window. I open one more window using the username Jamal. What's the password? Tiger. Look at the output. User Jamal lacks a privilege. Create session privilege. Okay. Just creating the user is not the DBA's job. The DBA should also give some privileges so that the new user can connect and create some tables and work with the database. Just creating a user, don't think that the user can connect and then work with the database. User should have some privileges. So which command is used to give the privileges? Obviously, the grant command is used to give the privileges. grant connect comma resource to the new user. This is a DBS window. I have connected as a DBA. Now I am running a grant command. Grant succeeded. So this is an example of a grant command. How many privileges we are providing? Connect comma resource privilege. Using the connect privilege, user can connect a database. Using the resource privilege, users can create the tables and work with the database. Got it, Jamal? How many privileges we are providing now? Using the grant command, we are providing 2 privileges to the new user, Jamal. Last time, Jamal was unable to connect. Now, Jamal is successfully able to connect to database because Jamal has got the privileges. So Dilavar, grant command is used to grant the privileges. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Sunil, one thing. The place where we are sitting now, there is another session. So we will just move to some other room, and then we'll connect. Huh? Just give us 3 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, na? Sorry. Huh?
Okay.
Maybe it will work. Privilege access. Then we.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, Sunil. We are
Yeah.
back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think it is very clear for you.
Sunil,
How to create. Yeah. Can you
I
hear
have a
me?
question. Yeah, yes, I can hear you. In this granting a privilege, did you mention that you have granted him a two access or for Jamal?
Could you please repeat your query?
Yeah. Did you mention that you have granted two access for Jamal?
Two privileges.
Okay. With what are those?
Connect is one privilege.
Okay.
Resource is another privilege. Using the connect privilege, the new user can connect to the database.
Okay.
Using the resource privilege, the new users can create the data tables, can insert the data, update, and all the activities he can perform on the tables.
Okay.
Okay, these are the two privileges DBA is granting by using the grant command to the Jamal user.
Okay. Understood.
Clear? How to grant the privileges?
Yeah, Sunil. This one, if I want some user not to create any objects like that, only just he can have, he can run the select. This connect will not work for him.
No. The point is, uh, okay. In that case, look at another scenario, Dilawar. We should understand the concept of schema. Any idea, Dilawar, what is schema?
Schema is a set of objects.
Objects associated to a user. It is
Yeah.
collection of objects to a user. Okay. To be very clear, let's have one practical scenario. Let's say this is our database. We have two users. One is Jamal user and the other one is Dilawar user. Every user, by using their username and password, they'll be connecting to the database. Am I clear, Dilawar?
Yeah.
In our scenario, as we have two users, we will have two schemas. As there are two users, we have two schemas. So schema is a memory location which is associated to a user. If Jamal creates a table, Jamal's table will be there in the Jamal's schema. If Dilawar creates a table, the Dilawar's table will be created in Dilawar's schema. So schema is a memory location which is associated to a user. Okay.
Yeah.
Any doubts till now? You have clear understanding about the concept of schema. We already have the Jamal user. Let us create one more user called Dilawar. Who will create the new user, or we know that the DBA will create the new user. I create one more command. Oman is the password. DBA is creating a new user. Providing providing 2 privileges for the new user. This is from the DBS perspective. Now, this is Jamal's window. Let's open one more window. Dilawar. Password for this is Oman. Connect. This is Dilawar. Okay. Now, Jamal creates a table. And Jamal inserts 3 records. He wants to insert the records permanently, so I use the command called commit. Now when we write Jamal runs the table select star from student 1, obviously you get those 3 rows. This is Jamal's window. I'm able to paste it. Table created. Three rows inserted. Select star from student 1, he's getting 3 rows. Where the table is created, in which schema Dilawar the table is created? The table is created in the Jamal's schema.
Yeah.
Okay, when Jamal creates the table will be created in the Jamal schema. When Dilawar wants to see the data in the table student 1, Dilawar, do you think you will get the data from the Jamal's table?
No.
Table does not exist. When you write select star from student 1, when Dilawar is writing the command, searching will be done in the Dilawar's schema. Searching will be there in the Dilawar schema. In the Dilawar schema, we don't have student 1, so you're getting a message called table does not exist. How to access the table of others schema? Dilawar, how can you access the student 1 table of Jamal's schema?
I need to have the privilege on my user.
So first, the owner of the table should give privileges to you. Owner of the table should give privileges to you so that you can access the table. So owner of the table, Jamal, should run the command grant select on which table? Student 1 to which user? Dilawar. Owner should give the permissions. Here owner is giving what permission? Select permission on student 1 to which user? Dilawar. Who should execute this? Owner of the table. Who is the owner of the table? Jamal. Grant succeeded. Privileges are given. Now as the privileges were given, now can you access the data, Dilawar?
Yeah.
Now owner has given privileges, isn't it? Owner has given a select privilege, so you can select the data. But still the output what you get is table does not exist, because searching will be always done in which schema? Searching will be done in your schema, but you want searching to be done in the Jamal's schema. To access the tables of other objects, Dilawar should write select star from Jamal.student1. To access the table of other schema, you should write schema name dot table name. When you just write student1, searching will be done in Dilawar's schema. But you want to access the table of Jamal's schema, you write the schema name dot table name.
Yeah.
That is how you can access the objects of others schemas. So you need to prefix the schema name. Schema name is nothing but the username. So you need to prefix schema name dot object name, generally the table name, to access the table. So here you are clearly mentioning to Oracle Engine that I want to display the data student1 available in Jamal's schema. So first the owner of the table should give some privileges, that is grant a privilege. After granting the privileges, you can access the object by using table name dot schema name dot table name. And owner has given what privilege? Owner has given what privilege? Only the select privilege. That means that Dilawar can only select the data. Dilawar cannot insert, update and delete. This is clear about the concept of schema and about how the permissions are given by one user to other user using the grant command.
And what about other than select?
If you want to insert Dilawar, let's say if you want to insert, then owner of the table should give some insert privilege. Now what Dilawar can do? Dilawar can insert. Got it?
Yeah.
Now Dilawar can insert as well as update. There is a keyword called all. Can you guess what is Jamal? Jamal, what is all? All means all the privileges. Whatever the owner can do, which can also be done by using Dilawar. We have a keyword called all, which helps in giving all the privileges to the Dilawar's user. Okay? Is this clear about how to write a grant command and how to give the permissions? Okay?
Yeah. What if for the whole schema access to be given?
No. It's only for a specific object. Okay? You cannot give whole schema access to other user. It's only for a single object. Okay?
Object can be anything else also, no? Just like
It can be view also. Okay? It can be any other object. Need not be only the table.
Okay.
Okay. Now if Jamal wants to get back the privileges, he will be using the command called revoke command. Revoke select on student from Dilawar. Revoke is getting back the privileges. Who will execute the revoke command? The owner of the table. Owner of the table will execute the revoke command. Now Jamal wants to get back the permissions which he has granted. The revoke successfully completed. The owner has taken back the privileges. Now select star from Jamal.student1. Do you get the data, Dilawar, now? Privileges are taken back by using the revoke command. Now you cannot access the table. Got it? Previously you are able to successfully run the same command. Now here you are unable to now successfully command because owner has owner has got back what privilege? Revoke privilege. Revoke, he has got taken back the select command. So now Dilawar cannot select the data. Is this clear how you are able to control which user should able to access which data? That's why they are called as data control language commands. You are using the grant and revoke. You are controlling which table should be accessed by which user, which table should not be accessed. You are controlling the data. That's why it is called as a data control language commands.
So we did not have to commit, no? And then once it is
No, even that like that DDL commands, even the data control language are auto commit mode. You don't need to commit this revoke and grant. Okay. This is about data control language grant and revoke.
Sunil,
Yes.
aside from connect and resource privileges, Is there another type of privilege?
Yeah,
Can-
there are other privileges also. There are other privileges also, like something, for example, create view, create schema, create synonym. So these are some other privileges. I'll give you a simple example.
If I want to see them all, is there a way to run a command that I can see all the privileges?
You want to see what are all the privileges given for this particular user?
No, no. If I want to see what are those privileges from a DBA level.
List of privileges. You're talking about the list of privileges.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's a DBS scope actually. That's beyond the scope of the syllabus. Okay.
Okay.
So it is DBA generally who will give the list. Can see the list of all the privileges and can select the privileges whatever you want. Okay. You don't need to worry about this because we are not the right persons who will be controlling the access by using the grant and revoke command. This is just for your information. Okay.
Sunil, one thing, when we are giving the update and insert access, select will be default, no, it's understood.
No, select is different. Insert update is. Don't think that select is default. When owner gives the insert privilege, he can only insert the data. You cannot select.
Okay.
Okay. Select is not the default. Select is a specific privilege.
Okay.
Okay. Next, let us discuss about pseudo columns. There are two pseudo columns in Oracle. One is row num, the other one is row ID. We have two pseudo columns, row num and row ID. Let us discuss about the first pseudo column, row num. First, let's exit. Let's log in with the normal user, that is Scott and Tiger. Okay. I think we also have other table. Student 1, fine. Let us discuss about row num. What do you mean by pseudo column? Any idea, Jamal? The term what does pseudo refers to?
Again?
The dictionary meaning of the term pseudo.
I have no idea.
Dilavar?
It is false, wrong, false.
Yes, false or not real. Pseudo is nothing but not real. Okay. Now, what are pseudo columns? Columns which are not present in the table. Columns which are not present in the table but can be used in the select statement. Columns which are not present in the table but you can use it in the select statements are called pseudo columns. Let us examine the term pseudo is refers to not real. Okay, these are all not real columns but you can use it as if they are real columns. Example. So coming to the first pseudo column, row num. Row num values always, row num pseudo column always starts with 1 and increment by 1. Row num values always starts with 1 and increment by 1. Example, we have a table student. If you see describe table name student 1, it is very clear and obvious that the table is having 3 columns. Okay, but I select 4 columns. Actually, Jamal, Table is having only 3 columns: S number, S name, and marks.
Yes.
In the select statement, I am using 4 columns. These are the 3 columns, and this is a not a real column. So that is nothing but a pseudo column. And what will be the output of the pseudo column? What will be the output of the row num values? Row num values always starts with a 1 and increments by 1. Look at the output of the pseudo column row num. Look at the output of the pseudo column row num. If there are 3 rows, 1, 2, 3. Got it? So row num always starts with 1 and increment by 1. Can I use this row num column with the employee table?
Like
How many rows we have in the employee table? 14 rows. So Dilavar, what will be the values in the row num? Starts with 1 increments by 1. As there are 14 rows, look at the last pseudo column value is 14. If there are 100 rows, it will start with 1 increments by 1. The last value will be 100. So row num are the pseudo columns. Row num is a pseudo column, always starts with 1 increments by 1. What is the advantage of this pseudo column? This is the employee table. This is the employee table. I want to write a query to display first 5 rows. I want to write a query to display first 5 rows. Smith, Allen, Ward, Jones, Martin. If you want to display the first 5 rows, it is very tough to write a condition to display the first 5 rows. Isn't it? So whereas we're using the row num, you can easily get it. Select star from employee table, where row num less than or equal to row num less than or equal to 5. Dilavar, are you able to get the first 5 rows of the employee table? Smith, Allen, Ward, Jones, and Martin. Got it? Yes, you are able to get the first 5 rows easily. First n number of rows. Table may have 1000 rows.
Yeah.
Table may have 1000 rows. You want the first 100 rows. Blindly you can write where row num less than or equal to 100. So row num values always starts with 1 and increment by 1. Generally use it to write the query to display first n number of rows in the table. Okay?
Yeah.
And row num value generation also important. 7369 Smith 7000, 7499 Allen 2000. These employee numbers, names, salaries are permanently stored in the table. Agree? They are always permanently stored in the table. But coming to this row num values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they are not permanently stored in the table. They are generated at the query runtime. When the row num values are generated at the query execution time. In the memory, the RAM, the row num values are generated. They are not permanent. Where 7369 employee numbers are permanent, employee names, salaries, and rest of all the columns are permanent. The only column which is not permanent is obviously row num, because the row num values are generated at the query execution time. Okay. Row num values are generated at the runtime. At the runtime is nothing but the query execution time. And what will be the first value which will be generated? 1. Only after 1 is generated, number 2 is generated. Only after 2, 3 is generated. The order is very important. Starts with 1. Even the number generation also starts with 1, increment by 1. And very important point you need to observe. I want to write a query to display 5th row. Not first 5 rows. I want to display only the 5th row. What is 5th row? 5th row is nothing but Martin. Generally what we tend to do, select star from employee table where row num equal to 5. But this query will not work. But this query will not work. Because if you want to compare 5, when the value 5 will be generated only when the row num 4 is available. Try to understand. The memory, the numbers will be generation starts from 1. When the row num 5 will be available in the memory only when the 4 is available. When the 4 is available only, so you cannot directly compare 5. Is this clear? Row num equal to n will not work. Okay. In that case, how to get the 5th row? Whereas row num less than or equal to 5 will work. Minus row num less than or equal to 4. Jamal, first query will result in first 5 rows. Second query will result in first 4 rows. 5 minus 4, you will get the fifth record in the employee table. Am I right? Is this clear? Using the set operators and using the pseudo column row num, you can get the nth row of the table. Clear, Dilavar?
Yeah. What will be the result for a row num less than or equal to 6?
First 6 rows.
Or 6 equal. Yeah.
Less than or equal to 5 will give you the first 5 rows. In the same way, less than or equal to 6 will give you the first 6 rows.
Yeah. Fine.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
First 6 rows. If you want 6th row to be displayed, row num less than or equal to 6 minus row num less than or equal to 5 will give you the 6th row. Clear? Like this, you can use row num and the pseudo column and as well as set operators to get the nth row of the table. This is about the row num pseudo column. Next pseudo column, row ID. It is a hexadecimal value. It is a hexadecimal value, indicates the address of the row. Indicates the address of the row which is stored. Whenever you insert a row, first let's look at the output. What is row ID value? It is a hexadecimal value. This is what values? Jaman, these are all row IDs are nothing but hexadecimal values. And observe the last letter of the hexadecimal value starting with A, B, C, D, E, F, isn't it? That means you should understand that these rows are stored in continuous memory locations. What this is row ID indicates? What does this hexadecimal value indicates? This hexadecimal value indicates the address of the row. Whenever a row is stored, where it is stored in the memory, that is in the hard drive, that will have an address, that memory will have address. Address is nothing but referred as row ID. Something like in C language, we create a variable. Variable will have that address. Address is stored in a pointer. Am I right? In the same way, whenever you insert a row into the table, that row will consume some memory. That memory will have address. That address is nothing but row ID. Okay?
Yeah.
Clear about row ID? Any doubts?
Yes, fine.
When these row ID values are generated, not when the select statement is executed. When the row ID values are generated, when a row is inserted, because only when the row is inserted it will consume the memory. When it consumes the memory, it will have an address. Okay, so row ID values are generated when the row is inserted, whereas row num values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are generated when the select statement is executed. This row ID values are generated when the insert statement is executed. Because only when you insert, it will consume the memory. Only when you consume the memory, it will have an address. Okay.
So based upon this row number, I mean,
Row number or row ID?
row ID is going to be permanent. Okay.
Yes.
It will not be only it goes off when the delete.
When the row is deleted.
Row is deleted. So, for example, if I delete the third record, ward, 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 where the
Okay.
last letter ends with C, so C will be deleted. If I add one more record, new record, that C will be coming, or it will be after
No,
K.
it will be a new memory location.
Okay.
It's all
So it will,
dynamic. Memory allocation, deallocation is all dynamic. Okay.
okay.
Okay. But what is the purpose of this row ID? As a developer, we don't much use this row ID. It's just for information. Row IDs will indicate the address of the record. Okay. These are the two pseudo columns, row num and row ID.
Okay.
Any queries, Jamal and Dilavar?
Okay.
Okay. Let's move to the next concept. Subqueries. Okay. Subqueries are also called as nested queries. When we write a query, when we use a query inside another query, inside another query, the inner query is called subquery. Okay, the inner one is called subquery. Outer query is called parent query. Inner query is called subquery. Outer query is called parent query. Always subquery is executed first. Always subquery is executed first, and then parent query is executed. First subquery will be executed, and then parent query is executed by using the result of subquery. Always subquery is executed, and then the parent query is executed by using the result of the subquery. Okay, got it? And when we should use this concept of subqueries, what is the need for a subquery? We use subqueries. We use subqueries to get the results. Based on unknown value. Very, very important. Whenever you want to get the results based on unknown values, then we go for subqueries. Okay? How to get the results based on unknown values, we'll try to understand by looking at practically the details. Okay? To start with, there are different types of subqueries. Single row subquery, multiple row subquery, correlated subquery, inline view. Jamal, how many types of subqueries we have? 4 types. Single row subquery, multiple row subquery, correlated subquery, and an inline view. Okay? Single row subquery. Okay. When subquery returns one row, obviously the name says single is nothing but one, isn't it? When subquery returns one row, in brackets one value. When subquery returns one row, in brackets one value, it is single row subquery. Okay? For example, let's try to understand. Are you there, Dilawar and Jamal?
Yes.
Okay. Look here. My question is to display the rows who are having salary greater than 1600. Jamal, how to write a query to display the rows of employees who are having salary greater than 1600?
Select the from
Where salary greater than 1600 is the query to get the results of the employees who are having salary greater than 1600. But here the value 1600 I have given in the question itself. I change my question to write a query to display the rows whose salary is greater than Alan's salary. I want to display the records of all the employees who are earning salaries greater than Alan's salary. So in last time there is a difference between the previous example and my second example. Dilavar. In the query 2, I am not giving you Alan's salary straightforward, isn't it? So the value is not available in the query. So you need to find out Alan's salary. Find Alan's salary is an unknown value. You need to write a subquery to get that unknown value. Step 1. Find Alan's salary. Dilavar, tell me how to find Alan's salary. Can you tell me the query to get the Alan's salary?
Select star from EMP.
Where employee name equal to star will give you Alan's employee number, Alan's salary, Alan's job, Alan's hire date, Alan's department. I want only salary.
Salary.
Okay, this is step 1. I independently run the query. What is Alan's salary? 2000. Now the main query will be something like select star from EMP whose salary is greater than Alan's salary. This is a query which is giving the Alan's salary. A copy.
Yeah.
Paste. Are you understanding, Alan? Jamal? I am writing a query inside another query. This inner query is called subquery. As per the syntax, the subquery should be inside the brackets. Okay. Now, which will be executed first, Jamal?
The first one.
Always the subquery will be executed first. Dilavar,
Okay.
always the subquery will be executed first. Subquery is returning what value? 2000. Now your main query will be something like you will get the details of employees who are having salary greater than 2000. These are the records who are having salary greater than 2000. Writing a query inside another query. This inner query is called subquery. We use subqueries to get the results based on unknown values. If I want to display the rows who are having salary greater than Alan's salary is an unknown value. You need to write a subquery to get that unknown value, and the parent query will give you the results based on the result of the subquery. Am I clear?
Yeah.
Let us look at one more example. I want to display the rows. I want to display the rows which are satisfying two conditions. Salary condition 1. Salary should be greater than Alan's salary. Condition 2. Job should be same as Blake's job. I want to display the rows who are satisfying how many conditions? Two conditions. Salary should be greater than Alan's salary. And job should be same as Blake's job. Do you know Alan's salary? No, we don't know Alan's salary. Do you know the Blake's job? You don't know the Blake's job. So you should write how many subqueries? You need to write two subqueries. Subquery 1. First you should know the Alan's salary. Select sal from employee where employee name this is Alan's salary. Next you should write a query to get the Blake's job. Jamal, can you tell me the query to get the Blake job?
Select job from M. First pick.
Perfect. Now the main query. Select star from EMP. Condition 1 where salary should be greater than Alan's salary. This is a subquery which is giving the Alan's salary. And according to the syntax, the subquery should be inside the brackets. And condition 2, job should be equal to Blake's job, and this is a query which is giving me the Blake's job. These are the records who are having salaries greater than Alan's salary and job is equal to Blake's job. These are the two records who are having salary greater than Alan's salary and job is equal to the Blake's job. Okay, am I clear? Writing a query inside another query. These inner queries are called subqueries. How many subqueries here we are having? 2 subqueries and 1 parent query. So one parent query can have n number of subqueries. You need to write subqueries to get the results based on unknown values. Any queries, Dilavar?
So what if these two subqueries are interchanged, like job comes first and salary comes after?
No, output will be the same. That practically does not make difference. Are you able to get the same output? Isn't it, Dilavar? Okay. Same condition 1 and condition 2. It's as if you're writing salary greater than 1600 and job equal to Blake's job. Blake's job is manager actually. That's why you're getting only the managers. As if you're writing salary equal greater than 2000 and job equal to manager. Okay. And one more important point, observe the syntax. Always the subquery should be inside the brackets. And one more point, if you copy paste the subquery, copy paste the subquery should run independently. Every subquery should be independent and complete query. That means whenever you copy the subquery, it should independently run. Every subquery should be independent. Subquery should be independent and complete query. Subquery should always be an independent and a complete query. Okay. Can you try this, Jamal? Write a query to display all the details of highest paid employee. I want to write a query to display details of the highest paid employee. Let us manually check it, Jamal. Who is the highest paid employee? In this case, Smith. 7,000. I want all the details. When I say all the details, I want Smith employee number, employee name, job. Star will give you all the details, but I don't want all the 14 rows. I want only one row. The employee who is having the highest salary. How can we do this?
Select star from AMP. Where can you show me the table again? Where Sal? Okay, go back. Where Sal is greater than greater than 6,000.
Assuming there are other employees who are having 6,100, 6,200, even those rows you get. Is it?
Yeah.
Dilavar?
You can use that max function.
Yes. So how to write the query? How to write the query?
Select
Get
max
salary.
of sal from EMP. The max of sal, comma, all the
Select max of sal from EMP.
it will
Will
the
give you highest salary. $7,000. It could be 7,000. It could be 9,000. It could be dynamic. Max of sal will give you 7,000. Now
the whole record we
you
need.
want to display the row. You want to display the row is having 7,000. So select star from employee. Out of 14 rows, how many rows you want? Only one row. That means you want to filter. Filtering is possible by writing where salary equal to 7,000, and this is a query which is returning 7,000. It could be 7,000. It could be 8,000. Is it? Try to understand. First subquery will be executed. Max of salary from EMP, which is giving you 7,000. Now the main query will display the rows whose salary equal to 7,000. These are the record of an employee who's having 7,000. Got it? I'm getting all the details because I'm using star. Jamal, am I clear? Is this query clear?
Yes, clear.
So you can use group functions. Every subquery should be independent and complete query. And observe all the subqueries. How many values this subquery is returning? Only one value. What about the previous examples? How many values the subquery is returning? All the subqueries, whatever we have discussed, they are returning how many values? They are returning only one value. Hence, they are called as what type of subqueries? Single row subqueries. Okay. Is this clear? Understanding the concept of single row subquery? And when should we go for subqueries to get the results based on unknown values? Let's go for multiple row subquery. You can easily guess when subquery returns more than one row. When subquery returns more than one row, it is a multiple row subquery. Okay, and more than one row is nothing but more than one value. Best example. Look at this. Select star from EMP where salary greater than. Select star from EMP where understand this query. Please evaluate the query. Whenever you try to evaluate the query, first you should evaluate the subquery. Then you will evaluate the parent query. What is subquery? Select sal from EMP where department number equal to 30. Dilavar in 30 department is not one employee. We have multiple employees.
Yeah.
So subquery returns multiple values. How many values the subquery is returning? 6 rows. Okay. Let's not work out with this employee table. 1 minute. All the 6 rows are 1,000, 2,000 here. Look at the subquery. Select sal from EMP where department number equal to 30. In department number 30, it's not one employee, you have 6 employees. So how many salaries you are getting? 6 salaries. When subquery is returning more than one row, it is called multiple row subquery. Then how the parent query will evaluate? Let us understand. Where salary greater than, let us list out the values returned by subquery. 1600, 1250, 1250. 2850, 1500, 950. Now the subquery returning multiple values. Now the parent query, what value it will consider? Select star from EMP where salary greater than. Will it consider 1600? First value. Will it consider the last value? Will it consider 1250? Now what value it will consider? Let us check by running the query. This query will give you error, because what is the operator you are using here? Greater than. Dilawar and Jamal, operator like greater than, operators like greater than, equal to, less than, expects one value in the right hand side. How many values greater than operator will expect? Only one value, but here the subquery is returning multiple values, the queries will fail. So these kind of operators you should not use when the subquery is returning multiple values. When these are called what operators? These are called single row operators. Greater than, equal to, less than are called single row operators because it can work with only single values. When your subquery is returning multiple values, you need to use a multiple row operator. I hope you remember we have learned what is a multiple row operator. We have a multiple row operator, that is in. In will pick up the values which are in the list of values which will match with the list of values, isn't it? In will consider all the values which are matching with the list of values and then the query will execute. So what is the operator you need to work when you're dealing with multiple row subqueries? When you're dealing with multiple row subqueries, we need to use a special operator, that is in operator, because in can consider multiple values. So when subquery returns multiple rows, it is called as a multiple row subquery. Okay, but most of the time we always use single row subqueries rather than a multiple row subquery. Am I clear?
Yeah, correct.
Correlated subquery, very, very important. Concept is very, very important. When subquery is executed in relation to parent query, when subquery is executed in relation to parent query, it is called correlated. It is called correlated subquery. Concept is completely different from the previous examples. Let us try to understand. WAQ, write a query to display the rows having salary greater than average salary of his department. Understanding the question is very, very important. I want to write a query to display the rows who are having salaries greater than average salaries of his department. Let us understand the query first. How many different types of departments we have in the employee table? In the employee table, there are 3 types of departments. We have 10, 20, 30. I want the department number and the corresponding average salary. We have learned how to write this query. We need to use a group by clause. Select department number and the corresponding average salary from the employee table. Group by which column you need to group the rows basing on department number. Yes, you got the department number and the corresponding average salaries. Let's take a note of it. Department number 10, 2916. Department number 20, it is 2175.
Sunil, we
Department.
use this group by order by, no?
Okay, we have not discussed group by.
No. Group by order by we do not use that.
Okay. In that case, correlated subquery is dependent on group by clause and group by clause. So let us not discuss about correlated subquery. This we'll discuss after the group by clause. Okay, Dilavar?
Yeah.
Let us learn about inline view. Okay, even inline view is dependent on order by clause. So we need to discuss about group by clause, having clause, order by clause, then followed with correlated subquery, and then we'll discuss it inline view. That's about the order.